Uncle John's action-packed bathroom reader is the 37th annual publication in the Bathroom Reader series. It's filled with entertaining and informative articles, amusing lists, factoids, quotes, and quizzes. Ahead, I'll talk with Brian Boone from the Bathroom Reader Institute about this latest edition. Hi, I'm Dan Skinner, and this is Some Books Considered. Brian Uncle John Boone is a writer who's published books about music, sports, literature, as well as a book of jokes. And he's written humor for Funny or Die, Mad, The New Yorker, The Onion, and others. And he's also authored thousands of articles for the Uncle John's Bathroom Readers series, and that's just a few of his many credits. He joins us to talk about Uncle John's action-packed bathroom reader. Brian, welcome to Some Books Considered.
Thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Well, this is the 37th edition of this bathroom reader series, so give us a quick overview. What are people going to find in this one?
You know, we like to say that there's something for everybody in this book. Like all our other books, you can open it to any page at random, and you will find something that will entertain you for as long as you need to be entertained. There's history, there's science, there's pop culture, there's movies, TV, a lot of origins, random origins. The firsts of things. Where phrases came from. Just any just like a little thing that you see during the day, like we want to know where that came from and why it's a part of our lives, and then we write the stories about it.
Well, there's so much here, obviously, we can't talk about all of it. So in a moment, we'll dip into a few of those topic areas. But give us a little bit of the history. This is the 37th edition. So how did this all get started?
Well, it predates me. Back in 1988, there was an original John. I'm the third Uncle John, but we had an original Uncle John. His name was John Javin in Berkeley, California. He found himself stuck in a bathroom with nothing to read, but the back of a shampoo bottle, and he thought that other people might have the same issue I do, where you're kind of a captive audience for 5-10 minutes, and you could use that time to your advantage. You could read something, you could learn, you could be educated, you could be entertained. And he was a trivia writer, and he thought of, just kind of a general interest trivia book of a little something for everyone with, articles of various lengths. And 37 years later, I think this is my 25th one. We're still doing them. They're bigger and better than ever.
So one of the things you do, and we're just going to dip into a few things here, is things that, kind of like what's the difference between, for example, soil and dirt?
Oh, I love that. There's so many things that we kind of use interchangeably that aren't alike at all. But dirt and soil. Dirt, that's just the stuff that's outside on the ground. Like that's just what's everywhere. Soil, technically, is dirt that's been enriched with minerals and fertilizers and things like that, the kind of stuff that you have to go to a store and purchase. And there's a lot of other stuff like that too. Like there's a difference between bison and buffalo. The animal in North America that we call the buffalo, that's actually a bison. And you can tell the difference because bison have a hump on their shoulder, and they're the ones with beards. While buffalo don't have either, they just have bigger horns. Corned beef and pastrami are also very similar. They're prepared in much the same manner, even though they were created thousands of miles apart. Corned beef is from Ireland, and that's breast meat. And then pastrami was developed in Eastern Europe, and that's made out of a cow's shoulder or navel meat.
For sports fans, you have a collection of stories here. Can you share a few of those with us?
Lots of sports. I love writing about sports and basketball especially. We have a story on the first time a backboard was shattered in the NBA. And that would be great basketball name. Gus Honeycomb Johnson in 1964 played for the Baltimore Bullets, and he was just about the biggest guy in the league at the time. Just a big brute of a guy, and he was muscling his way in the post one night, and he was just determined to slam dunk. He was one of the first people to slam dunk regularly in the NBA, and he slam dunked it with such ferocity that he shattered the backboard, and it took a half an hour to get a new backboard and rim installed, and then another half an hour to get the glass out of his hair. And then they had to have a rule to have backup backboards on hand because this guy started shattering them.
And then I'm sure that inspired backboard manufacturers to make them more, resilient.
Well, they did. Well, once Shaquille O'Neal came into the league in the 90s, they had to change the design of the backboards because he was breaking them so easily.
There's also a story in the book about baseball and how somehow that related to a plot to kill Castro.
Yes, I love this story. So the CIA tried to kill Castro 634 times. 634 times. Most of those never really got past the planning stages, and they were silly. They were things like, an exploding cigar because he loved cigars, or they tried to recruit his ex-girlfriend to seduce him. But Castro is a big baseball fan, played professionally before he, got into politics, we'll say. And he commissioned this big baseball tournament down in Havana in 1967. And the CIA got word of this. And so they sent down a team to infiltrate the stadium, and they were going to kill him there. So the idea, and it's so silly and it's so cinematic, they were going to have a guy sneak into the electrical control room at the stadium and kill the lights. And then in the darkness and the chaos of the darkness, they were going to have a couple of other guys just kind of hurl grenades into Castro's presidential box. But they got stymied because there was a guard at the control center, so they couldn't sneak into the control room and turn off the lights. So Castro lived to thwart off another several hundred assassination attempts.
I'm talking with Brian Boone about Uncle John's action-packed bathroom reader, and our conversation continues in a moment. If you're enjoying this discussion, please subscribe, like, and click on the bell so you know when I post new interviews. And thank you. There's also information in here about a testing device for cell phones called Rear-In Robot. What's that all about?
This is fascinating. So Samsung, one of the world's most prolific makers of cell phones, smartphones, and to make sure they put out a good product, they have to put the phones in their design stage through a lot of wear and tear that they would endure in regular life that a person would put them to. And we've all done it. We've all put our phone in our back pocket and sat down. So your phone can survive that because Samsung has a device called a Robo-Butt. It looks like a real human rear end, and they even put a little pair of jeans on it for to give it that extra level of authenticity. And it just repeatedly and mechanically just sits down on phones over and over again to make sure that they can withstand it. So there's somebody's job in Korea to operate a robotic butt.
The Robo-Butt. Never thought about that one before. There are many stories in here. There are many quotations in different sections of this book. What are some of your favorite quotes that ended up in the book?
There's an interview. The one that comes to mind is it was an interview with Joanne Rogers, the widow of Mr. Rogers. And she just kind of gave a new angle on the sweet and gentle Fred Rogers that we never knew. He apparently was a big fan of farting. He would do it in public, and he would do it quietly. And he would do it, and then he would just turn to her and smile that big, famous Mr. Rogers smile at her, and she knew that she was about to be hit with something unpleasant.
Well, farts show up in other parts of this book, too, or maybe they're in the same section, but there's someone I think was called Roland the Farter.
Yeah, well, this one just came out because I was interested in court jesters. I think I was going to write an article about what it was really like to be a court jester. Were they really these dancing imps who entertained the king with the hats with the little bells on the end? And some were, but there were a lot of jesters because it was a phenomenon that lasted 300, 400, 500 years. And one of the most dominant of his time, legendary, was Roland the Farter. In the 12th century, he served in the court of the king of England, King Edward II, I believe. and his deal was that he could fart on command, and he would use that to punctuate jokes or just whenever he wanted. And the king's favorite bit, which Roland could do on request, was jump, whistle, and fart all at the same time. And multitasking. It paid the bills when he retired. The king gave him 30 acres of land and a big country estate house. So he was the original bathroom comedian, I suppose.
One other fun thing, well, there's so many fun things in this book, but one of them was this name of beers. If a lot of, breweries and that sort of thing were a lot of places that are developing, they have to come up with creative names. So can you tell us about some of those names you learned about?
Yeah, there's so many of them, like you said, that I think they all have to come up with a funny name to differentiate themselves from each other. And so I just started making a list, and they're all so silly, like parking violation, juice box hero, Mrs. Stoutfire, Buzz Light beer, turn your head in coffee, tart side of the moon. And then some, a lot of them have like a beer ingredient pun in them, like smooth hopperator or Spruce Willis or wheat the parents. And then some are just gross, like yellow snow, moose drool, ill-tempered gnome. I still don't even know what that means.
You've written thousands of articles for the Bathroom Readers series.
Yeah.
It's kept you fascinated for 25 plus years. Why do you think this series is so popular?
I think everybody wants to learn something. Everybody is curious on some level about the world around them, and it connects us. Trivia connects us to each other. It gives us a sense of history, and it gives me human being pride. Like as long as people keep doing remarkable things and silly things, I'll have something to write about, because this book, it's half human error and half human achievement, and it's just really fun to see that mix on a day-to-day basis. My head reels from that.
Well, this is a big challenge every year to come up with all of this stuff. No shortage of material, apparently, but requires a team, the Bathroom Reader Institute. Tell us a bit about that.
We work out of an old station master's house in a tiny little town in the Northwest. We've got a huge research library. The walls are sagging from our books, and we've got research files of articles we've clipped out of magazines, and fans send us things. We like to say that they're members of the BRI as well. They send us things from their small town, local newspapers and things like that, and we just love to see it. And then it's our job to curate the best stuff and to put like-minded things together and to just tell the best stories.
Well, you also have to come up with names for these books. This is the 37th edition. This one is the action-packed edition. So what makes it action-packed?
This one just felt more bombastic. Like there's a lot of sports in it. There's a lot of inspirational material. A lot of war stuff. It just felt less thoughtful and more, God, you know what I mean?
Well, again, this one is Uncle John's Action-Packed Bathroom Readers, the 37th book in the series, and I've been talking with Brian Uncle John Boone. Brian, thank you very much for talking with me today.
Oh, thank you for having me on. It's always a pleasure.
If you'd like to purchase Uncle John's Action-Packed Bathroom Reader, I've placed a link for you in the description below. If you enjoyed this conversation, please subscribe, like, and click on the bell so you know when I post new interviews. Meanwhile, here are 2 more books you might find interesting. I'm Dan Skinner. Thank you for watching this edition of Some Books Considered.